Hello and welcome to Newsbreak at 7. Karnataka shut down in response to the Cauvery Bandh call in the state. But what exactly does a Bandh achieve? Is it just political posturing? That's our focus on the show this evening. But first though, the impact of the Bandh call by various farmers, political and social outfits in the state. Public transport was available and government offices were working, but private cabs, businesses and schools were shut down. 44 flights were cancelled as several passengers cancelled their tickets. There was heavy police presence in several parts of the state, especially in the Kaveri heartland of Mandya. Political reactions too poured in for the Bandh from across the political spectrum. NDTV's Pratibha Raman was out on the streets of Bengaluru to file this report.
If it was a Bengaluru Bandh day before, it was an entire Karnataka shutdown from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Friday. Kannada activists protesting at the airport were picked up by the police and, like most protesters in many parts of the city, were sent to Freedom Park in Bengaluru with the cops imposing Section 144. While they didn't achieve a change in the quantum of Kaveri water to be released by Karnataka, what they did achieve was disrupting normal life and cancellation of flights. 22 incoming flights and 22 outgoing flights were cancelled at the Kempegowda International Airport in the city due to operational reasons. Most passengers reportedly cancelled flights.
ಈ ಬಂದು ಕನ್ನಡ ಒಕ್ಕೂಟ ಕನ್ನಡ ಪರ ಸಂಘಟನೆಗಳು ಇಡೀ ರಾಜ್ಯದ ಬಂದ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ಅತ್ಯಂತ ಗೌರವ ಸೂಚಿಸುತ್ತೇವೆ. 5ನೇ ತಾರೀಕು ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ಕಂಡರಿಯದಂತ ಮೆರವಣಿಗೆ.
Some protesters burnt effigies of Tamil Nadu CM Stalin, some others rolled on the ground, and another set of protesters conducted a mock funeral. While government buses and metros were operational, autos, cabs and private vehicles were off the roads. Theatres were shut and Kannada actors like Shivraj Kumar, Darshan, Pooja Gandhi and more gathered to express their solidarity.
And we should bring the pressure to both the governments and the central and the Supreme Court so that they can just understand the problem of the people and get amicable result. 100%, I'll try to speak with both the governments also. I will try to take the film industry people so that we'll have a proper, cooperation between each other.
Even though the Congress government hasn't encouraged the Bandh call, all the shops, schools, hotels and offices were shut. As much as Kaveri is an emotional issue for the two states, it is political as well.
ಸ್ಟಾಲಿನ್ ಅವರ ಹತ್ರ ನೀವು ಮನವರಿಕೆ ಮಾಡಿಸಿ ಈ ಸಮಸ್ಯೆ ಒಂದ್ ರೀತಿ ಪರ್ಮನೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಸಾಲ್ವ್ ಆಗಬೇಕು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದಲ್ಲಿ ಮೇಕೆದಾಟು ಪ್ರಾಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಸುಮಾರು ಒಂದು 20 ವರ್ಷದಿಂದ ಪೆಂಡಿಂಗ್ ಇದೆ. ತಮಿಳುನಾಡಿನ ಒಂದು ತಕರಾರಿನ ಕಾರಣದಿಂದಾಗಿ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಎನ್ಒಸಿ ಪಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳುವಂತಹ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಯತ್ನವನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಮಾಡಿ
ಇವತ್ತು ರಿಟೈರ್ಡ್ ಸುಪ್ರೀಂ ಕೋರ್ಟ್ ಜಡ್ಜಸ್ ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಮೀಟಿಂಗ್ ಕರೆದಿದ್ದೀನಿ ಈಗ 4 ಗಂಟೆಗೆ.
Of course, we do hear that the government will be heading to the Supreme Court once again for an appeal to reduce or have a distress sharing formula that can be observed between Karnataka and Tamil Nadu as far as Cauvery River water is concerned. With camera person Govind, Pratibha Raman in Bengaluru for NDTV.
Remember, the Supreme Court has categorically said that it's up to the Cauvery River Water Authority and the Cauvery Water Management Authority to decide on the quantum of release. And at the moment, after a lot of jostling between the sides, the quantum has also been released. Of course, Karnataka expected to move the Supreme Court again, Tamil Nadu again, demanding that it needs more water from Karnataka. The Bandh had full support as expected in Karnataka. But what does it achieve? After all, across the political spectrum, there is support for the demand for stoppage of release of water to Tamil Nadu. So what's the key point of this protest? There is a Supreme Court verdict and the matter is before, as I mentioned, the Cauvery River Water Authority. Against that backdrop, is this Bandh just pure political posturing or is there more than what meets the eye? Joining us this evening, Sajid Gowda of the Karnataka Rationality, one of the organizations that spearheaded this Bandh, actor and activist Chetan Ahimsa and prominent Bengalurian Priya Chetty Rajagopal. My first question to you, Sajid Gowda, given that everyone in Karnataka is united on this demand, the government also has said that it is backing this demand and is following legal recourse, taking legal recourse to find a solution to this. What was the big point of this Bandh call in Karnataka?
So, thank you. So the big point, again, like most of the bandhs or protests, the major point is to draw the attention of the lawmakers or the authorities which make decisions on this front, right? So, I mean, this issue is in a state today where this can be solved forever. Like, this is an ideal situation where we have 26 MPs from Karnataka who are part of the ruling government, and then even within the state government and the Karnataka state government as well as Tamil Nadu government are in good terms. They have some political alliance on that front. So this is a place, or this is a point where we want to pressurize the government, both central, union and state.
Sir, I'm sorry to interrupt you, sir, but I just have one simple question to ask. In Karnataka, when you call out for a bandh, it's the businesses and the people in Karnataka who tend to face the losses. Given that there is a united support for this, is this pure political posturing and demonstration in Karnataka? Because this is not happening in Delhi or, let us say, at Tamil Nadu, right? There is a Supreme Court order. The case has gone on for many years. The matter is before the Cauvery River Water Authority and the Kaveri Water Management Authority. What is the point of having an entire Karnataka shut down and having more protests in the state?
So if you kind of go back to the history and see how this has happened over the period of time. So this Kaveri flows for around 800 kilometers between Karnataka and Tamil Nadu and a bit of Pondicherry, right? Out of which around 45%, I think I have the exact numbers here, around 40% of it flows in Karnataka and around 52% of it flows in Tamil Nadu, and rest 8% of it flows in the shared border. So in this case, according to any international river water sharing norms, it is general theory that the proportion of the amount of water that flows, or the proportion of the river that flows within the particular area, gets that much of surplus water. But however, because this treaty was done between Madras Presidency and Mysore Kingdom, where Madras Presidency, of course, had the greater edge, they got 75% of the surplus water, and Karnataka got 23% of the surplus water. So the injustice started then.
I get that point. Now, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Those points have been very well established. I want to focus on the one question. This bandh call today, what does it achieve? What is its objective? Quickly, 10 seconds. What is the objective of the bandh call today, of shutting down
The
Karnataka?
objective is to draw the attention of policymakers, the authorities, to take fair decisions, given that there is 32% deficit rainfall this time in Kaveri Basin. We need some relief here, so that we will not be able to follow the orders that has been given by Supreme Court or Kaveri authorities, Kaveri Water Management Authority. That's not possible for Karnataka to do that.
Let me take that point across to Chetan Ahimsa. Chetan Ahimsa, is bandh the solution, or is it just a political demonstration?
Number one, when it comes to the Kaveri issue, we must understand that this is not rationalism or objectivity that the activists or anybody in positions of power or influence of this bandh are doing. This is an emotional issue. When something is an emotional issue and there's rain deficit, then Karnataka will always feel that it is giving too much water because Karnataka doesn't have enough water. And Tamil Nadu will always feel that it is not getting enough because it is feeling the pinch. So in an emotional issue, the only way you get solution to this is through ration, reason, compromise, diplomacy, empathy, and various reasons. If you look at the word rivalry, it comes from the word river, and this river issue in Karnataka, Kaveri issue, which starts in Coorg and goes to Kaveri, which goes to Tamil Nadu, Pondicherry, and Kerala, it has been something that has gone on for about 150 years. And after 1956, this has strengthened. But we must respect the tribunal, the Kaveri Water Disputes Tribunal that started in 1990, that it will be an objective kind of resolution. If you look at it balanced, Tamil Nadu does have more farmers and And also, but at the same time, Tamil Nadu is using it for paddy and Kuruvai plop. And if they say 1.8 lakh hectares that they are promised for that land has been increased to 4 lakh hectares. So are they using it properly? But if you say Karnataka, a lot of this water is going to Mandya sugarcane farmers who are wealthy farmers who are using the water inappropriately. So this, and even Bengaluru, if it's a drinking water issue, we must take it seriously. But if it's something that where there's less water, then the demand that we must not release any water is an autocratic demand, is a selfish demand, is a demand that is not in the interest of all the people, but is in the interest of a jingoistic kind of mindset. Many of these activists do not have a strong understanding of the issue. They don't have objective analysis, statistics. There is an existential crisis for a lot of these activists who are coming to the streets, who are proclaiming that they're for Karnataka, but they're actually for a jingoism. They're for some kind, sometimes they even resort to undemocratic methods. I believe that activism is a must. Activism is something that is a constitutional right, is a moral responsibility. I'm glad that people are protesting. But if the demand is not, a protest is only as good as its demand. The demand to not release any water is something that is self-centered and flawed. If you say proportional, it makes sense. But that is something that should be taken into consideration.
Strong points that you've made, Chetan. Quickly, Mr. Gowda. The demand, and in an emotive issue, when farmers on both sides are struggling, do Bandh calls and protests only add to the emotion and the noise instead of looking at a substantive solution to the problem which has plagued us for many, many decades? Should we cut the emotion and the politics around the Kaveri issue and make it purely a matter of farmers and sharing of waters, which is beneficial for both states?
Sure. So what Chetan is telling is, I mean, he's telling about what's happening today, but then he's not really focusing on what has happened over the period of time, how Karnataka has been, provided with this injustice and the whole water sharing system. So this is not just about one day thing. This is about drawing attention to the authorities to ensure that, and also see the political situation in Karnataka or in both states today. One alliance has very good relationship with Karnataka government, and we have good number of people representing the ruling administration in the union government. So all of them can come sit together and make a fair permanent decision. So this is basically the crux of the protests and also the Bandh that is happening.
Let me get, I still am not, there's still the core question that what did the Bandh today achieve? And I want to get Priya as
attention.
Well. I'll get Priya as well. As a Bengalurian, Priya, how do you see this? These protests? Is it purely the people of Karnataka, perhaps the small businesses and the small shop owners in the city and the state who may be paying a price for this Bandh? Is it purely political posturing, or is it necessary as part of the protest to establish Karnataka's stand?
As a person from business, I will have to put on my economic hat. And I do have to start with the fact that a loss of 4,000 crores which is estimated across these two Bandhs, are going to be a heavy price that Bangalore and then largely Karnataka is going to pay, for this. But that's a very short-sighted perspective if one does not look at the larger context, which Chetan and Mr. Gowda have both pointed out, on the emotive issue of this Kaveri water sharing, which has started way back. And, you're looking at 1892 is when this has started, 1974 is when there's been the amendment and so on. Nothing is going to please both states. I mean, that is very clear because each of us have our own demands. And as a proud Kannadiga, I do understand that we are at a disadvantage considering we have only 42% of that space is coverage of the river is in Karnataka. But there are so many points which are related to the actual sharing of water, the fact that there's a Supreme Court, there's an order, there's a tribunal, arbitration which has been made, all of that. The fact is we're just not going to be happy with it, and that's a reality. But I would, sort of stand with you and say that, but the Bandhs will achieve bringing light on this issue and the unfairness perhaps of this issue. But the price that we're paying is just too high. And don't forget, 2 Bandhs back to back in the period of 4 days. We've seen a tremendous traffic jam, which was the worst that we've ever seen about 4 days ago. Today, the roads were completely empty and 44 flights being cancelled. The fact that we are at the start of a 4-day weekend means that Bangalore is going to be taking a very, very strong hit from today, that is, Wednesday. Then you have a Thursday, which was a working day. Friday, today is a Bandh. Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Monday is a holiday for Gandhi Jayanti. So you're going to see a huge, sort of a dial down in terms of business. And
there's a threat of another Bandh on the 5th of October as well.
Well, yes. So as I said, I don't want to be insensitive because I believe, as I said, I do understand there's a very, very strong emotive issue. I myself feel very badly and strongly about it. But from a business perspective, I do know that this hurts us in every way possible. I have never been a strong promoter of, a person who stands by Bandhs as a means of getting attention to something. I think a protest is very important. But this is bringing the city and the state to its knees. I do believe we need to have a little bit more of a coherent, more collaborative, and a slightly more brotherly aspect to resolving the situation. I don't care how naive I sound, but I think there's always hope when people come across the table and understand each other's genuine pain points and try and achieve something. So I hope that happens.
And Priya, for a lot of us, speaking that point that you're making, we're worried about a strong emotional reaction back to it. But the question is, who is really paying the price of these Bandh calls? I will take that question again, but first to the uninitiated on the Kaveri dispute. It's a long and historic one, as Priya, Sajid and Chetan were pointing out. The two states have fought over this for decades. Whenever the monsoons have failed, the Supreme Court has been in the midst of that dispute and had categorically settled the matter with a formula in 2018. But as we found out this year, no verdict can put a full stop to the tussle in a distress year. My colleague Aarti Krishnan narrates the story of the disputed Kaveri waters between Tamil Nadu and Karnataka.
The two neighbouring states of Karnataka and Tamil Nadu have long fought over the waters from Cauvery River. But what's the problem? The Cauvery River flows through a distance of 802 kilometers and flows to Karnataka and then to Tamil Nadu. Now it has 44,000 square kilometers basin area in Tamil Nadu and 32,000 square kilometer area in Karnataka. This river has been the source of conflict between the both southern states. After several decades of complex and tumultuous history and a legal battle at the apex court in 2018, the Supreme Court delivered a verdict. Now the Supreme Court's verdict in 2018 allocated a total of 740 TMC of water. Tamil Nadu got 404.25 TMC, Karnataka got 284.75 TMC, Kerala got 30 TMC, Pondicherry 7 TMC, and environmental protection was allocated 10 TMC, while water wastage into the sea was allocated 4 TMC. Now, what is a normal year? This was for a normal year. What that means is when at least half a capacity of water is deemed dependable. It is considered as a normal water year, and when the total water available in the basin is 740 TMC. Now, trouble arises on a distressed year when the total water availability is below 740 TMC. Now, Karnataka would use its reduced allocations and release rest of the water below Bengaluru gorging station for use in Tamil Nadu and Puducherry. Now, even in a normal year, the Kaveri is a deficit river. This means it does not have enough water to meet the needs of all its users, even when it's a normal year. Climate change, population growth, illegal sand mining and agricultural expansion are key factors that add to the deficit, and it gets worse in a distress year when the southwest monsoon fails. Now, the Supreme Court then suggests pro-rata sharing of water during a distress year. This means the available water will be divided between the states in proportion to the Kaveri basin that falls within each state, or the quantum of release from Karnataka could be proportionally reduces on the basis of inflows. If there's a 50% deficit, then the state would release 50% lesser water. But this is difficult to work out and involved complex calculations of rainfall in different areas. Now, Karnataka objects to this pro-rata sharing and says there's a need for a scientific distress formula. Tamil Nadu, on the other hand, says spirit of sharing must be followed. Now, to attempt to resolve the issue, the Supreme Court directed the setting up of the Kaveri Water Management Authority, which is responsible for managing the river basin, and the Kaveri Water Regulation Authority, which is responsible for regulating the sharing of water between Karnataka and Tamil Nadu. Now, in 2023, with Tamil Nadu and Karnataka facing water shortages due to the lack of adequate rainfall, the dispute is at its worst that it has ever been. The Supreme Court has now refused to interfere with the CWMA order directing Karnataka to release 5,000 cusecs of water to Tamil Nadu for 15 days. The southwest monsoon has been erratic this year, with some parts receiving excess rainfall and others receiving a deficit. This erratic pattern of both the southwest monsoon and the northeast monsoon this year is a cause for concern. Politics and emotions are high in both states as the need for water is only rising and the dependence on river is only increasing. But with the unpredictable monsoons, climate change as a factor, a solution to satisfy all parties seems to be a distant reality.
Well, politics and emotion, remember, only make it far more difficult to find a rational solution to this problem. I'm going in for closing comments from my panelists. First to you, Priya. We've seen this play out several times. Do you believe that those who have a strong point of view in keeping the politics and emotions out on both sides of the divide need to be far more vocal henceforth and send a pushback to efforts to jingoize or politicize this debate?
Personally, I feel that we are a little bit beyond the pale on that one, because I think we've gone far too ahead and engaged very emotionally, very politically. And the same voices in terms of trying to make some kind of a common ground is a little bit of is expecting a little bit too much, maybe being a bit of a Pollyanna. But it is needed. And also, it's very important to remember that while I may bring in a business perspective and say this is bad for us as a state, from an economic impact, the farmers and their own realities on ground are very real and very, very cogent, very emotional, and very close to, I think, the hearts of politicians and to those who till the land, and which we don't, I think, as city people have enough respect or understanding or empathy for. So I'm conscious of that. But bottom line, I do believe, if I have to just say it like how it is, I believe that whether it is this cause, which is hugely emotive and very, very close to all of us, we've all suffered with lack of water, and we've understood what it means to us to suffer, with something so critical, without something so critical. We have to also bring a very strong pragmatic perspective and make sure that we do not let the state's interests suffer on both the issues of sharing of water, but also on our economy, and ensuring that we provide a safe place to be able to work and live in. Hoteliers have shut down their business for the last few days. Their suffering is enormous. Small businesses are suffering. Right. So these are also realities.
I'm completely running out of time. Quick word from you, Chetan, before I go across to my colleague Pratibha Raman as well, who's joining us.
To speak from our state, we are the lower riparian in the Mahadai issue. We want justice. We must also think from the point of view of Tamil Nadu and the lower riparian situation in Kaveri. If you look at the nature of the word Indus River, actually, the name, the India, it's actually more in Pakistan, but these countries are diplomatically talk about it even when there's no tribunal. The answer and solution is not a Kempegowda dam that benefits the contractors, that doesn't benefit Karnataka. We need eco-friendly methods, and we need a proper solution through diplomacy and through empathy, and that is possible if you don't think of it emotionally and think of it rationally.
Right. Pratibha Raman, if it's a BJP government in power, the Congress will fuel the protests. If it's a Congress government in power, it's the BJP JDS coming together. This is also a test of the BJP JDS alliance at the grassroots, which has just been announced.
That's right. I mean, just as somebody earlier mentioned, it is not just an emotional issue, but a political issue as well. And today we did see that apart from the protests that were witnessed on ground, there were politicians making statements while the Congress government did not really support the Bandh. The BJP making use of the situation and extending support to the Bandh, and also seeking support in terms of accusing the Congress government for not really ensuring that the Kempegowda project really goes as per plan. And that was one of the promises, remember, that the Congress government had made in its manifesto before coming into power here. So these are several of the issues that are definitely being raised. But an amicable solution will be sought by the Congress government, which they have promised by taking the opinions of several of the High Court as well as the Supreme Court judges, and then perhaps knocking the doors of the Supreme Court. So this definitely does not really end with the Bandh. This will definitely go on as a fight.
Right. Final word to you, Sajid. Do we see more Bandhs play out, more disruptions in Karnataka, if I may call it that? All of us have the interests of farmers at heart, so there is no questioning of that. But how do we go about it, and how do we ensure that we share that point of view without, without creating, a political noise around it?
Sure. So, if this is, if you're calling this as political posturing, it is political posturing, but it's not party politics type of political posturing. But people of Karnataka fairly demanding their part of it. And second, if this is about rationalism and stuff like this, put the rational river sharing formula and end this problem forever. That's the second part. And third, we have both BJP and Congress in both union and state. All the parties are friendly in some ways. Karnataka government and Tamil Nadu government is friendly. And then we have significant number of people from Karnataka who are representing the current ruling party in the center. So work together and get this sorted. We are not interested in political parties or party politics, but we are interested in the interests of Kannadigas and Karnataka. So to your last question, whether the protests are going to continue, absolutely yes. We will protest continuously till we get the fair, the justice. So the protests are going to be on, but from point of Bandh perspective, we are that should have been ideally a last resort, but then unfortunately it is.
Thanks, Sajid. The final word is with the Supreme Court, with the Cauvery River Water Authority and the Kaveri Water Management Authority, which has been discussing the issue. Remember, Karnataka has been asked to release 3,000 cusecs of water, which is what the Bandh's demand is to stop doing that. We'll see how this plays out at the CWMA and the CWRA. That's all we have time for on this show. The news continues here on NDTV.